Zeus took the form of a swan, and a queen laid an egg. The god of war shared a bed with another god's wife, and neither of them saw the trap coming. A man fell in love with a statue, and she gave him a child. A husband looked behind and lost her to death forever. 49 brides murdered their husbands on the wedding night. A woman loved a god and was destroyed the moment she saw his face. These are not just myths. These are the stories of love, betrayal, and the price they paid for it. Zeus saw a woman he desired and disguised himself as her own husband. Alcmen never knew the truth and gave birth to the greatest hero who ever lived. A single apple started the Trojan War. Eris wasn't invited to the wedding, so she threw a golden apple, and 3 goddesses wanted it. One man made the wrong choice, and she made sure no one would ever forget her name. Zeus disguised himself as Artemis, and Callisto never saw the betrayal coming. Hera discovered the truth and turned her into a bear. Zeus took pity and placed her among the stars as Ursa Major. Zeus transformed himself into a white bull, and Europa climbed onto his back without fear. He carried her across the sea to Crete, and she gave her name to an entire continent. Zeus descended from the sky as a swan, seduced a queen in the night, and Helen was born from an egg. Hera tricked Semele into doubting the god she loved, and convinced her to ask for the impossible. The moment Zeus revealed himself, she was destroyed by divine fire. But Zeus was not the only god who caused destruction. Hera threw her own son from Olympus because he was born imperfect. Hephaestus survived, built a throne of revenge, and trapped the goddess who abandoned him. Ares and Aphrodite thought no one was watching, but Helios saw everything from the sky. Hephaestus forged an invisible trap and humiliated them before all the gods. And it wasn't just the gods who destroyed each other. Narcissus rejected everyone who loved him, including Echo, who could only repeat his words. Nemesis cursed him to fall in love with his own reflection, and he died there, unable to leave. Cephalus and Procris built a love most couples never find, but doubt slowly poisoned everything between them. He threw his spear into the forest, and it wasn't an enemy waiting there. Ceyx compared their love to Zeus and Hera, and the gods saw it as arrogance. Zeus struck his ship with lightning and transformed them both into birds to remain together forever. Apollo loved a boy named Tleporissus, who accidentally killed his own beloved deer. Consumed by grief, he begged to mourn forever, and the gods turned him into a tree. Some loves didn't just break, they turned to poison. She betrayed her own father, abandoned her kingdom, used her magic to save Jason's life. But the man she saved would trade her for a throne. Medea sent his new bride a poisoned crown. The princess died in agony. Medea killed their own children and left Jason with nothing. Years later, the rotting Argo collapsed and crushed him. 50 daughters were forced to marry 50 men. Their father handed them daggers on the wedding night. 49 murdered their husbands in their sleep. Only one refused. The 49 were condemned to carry water in broken jars for all eternity. His life depended on a single piece of wood, and his own mother burned it because her son killed her brothers. Dionysus drove his followers into a divine trance. The madness turned them into hunters, and they tore Pentheus apart. Midas was granted one wish and turned his own daughter into gold. He begged to undo it, but some things can never be undone, and some betrayals started wars. Helen of Troy, her beauty alone pulled every king in Greece into war, and Achilles followed, changing the fate of Troy forever. Cassandra could see every tragedy before it happened, but Apollo cursed her so no one would ever believe her. She warned them about the horse. They called her mad, and Troy burned exactly as she said. Agamemnon sacrificed his own daughter to sail to war. He returned victorious, with Cassandra as his prize. His wife had been waiting, with an axe, and she killed them both. Some stories didn't end in war. They ended underground. Hades dragged Persephone into the underworld, and she was transformed into something far more powerful. One man followed her into death itself. but only one of them made it back. Argos waited 20 years for his master to return, through war, through absence, through silence. The moment Odysseus finally came home, the loyal dog recognized him and finally found peace. But not every love was destroyed. Atalanta would only marry the man who could outrun her. Hippomenes used 3 golden apples to win her heart. They dishonored a sacred temple, and the gods transformed them both into lions. Forever. Perseus descended from the sky and shattered the chains that bound Andromeda to the rocks. He killed the beast, broke the curse, and freed her. But men came with weapons, claiming she was promised to another. Perseus raised the head of Medusa, and the entire army turned to stone. They survived monsters, built a life together, and in the end, the gods placed them among the stars forever. Their bloodline would one day produce the greatest hero who ever lived, Hercules. Eros was sent to destroy Psyche and fell in love with her instead. She lost him, completed the impossible trials, and the gods granted her immortality. So love could finally win. Pygmalion rejected every woman alive, so he carved the perfect one from ivory. He begged Aphrodite every night, until the stone grew warm. She opened her eyes, looked back at him, and became real. They married. They built a life together, and the statue had a child, and the gods declared their union sacred, forever. Some stories end in fire, some end in stone, some end in feathers, or fur, or the slow grief of a tree. But the ones that survive, survive because love refused to let them go.